All right, let's do this. So there's a lot of people in here. Good to see you. All right, today I am starting the long path to going over fuzz faces. There's so many ways to do the fuzz face. Like, it's kind of bonkers how much stuff we could talk about with a fuzz face. But I'm going to start by teaching you how to build the JHS Smiley, which is my favorite. I cloned my favorite silicon fuzz face. This is a early 70s. I love this pedal. It's sacred to me. And then this is the fuzz kit. I'm giving away a ton of stuff today. So I'm going to give away a Smiley. Austin's in here. Belle and Joshua are on a bit of a break because they need it. But Austin's in here. Respect his unlimited authority, and he will give stuff away too. So it's cutting out. I don't think it's cutting out on my end. My end looks solid here. That's so weird. People are saying the audio's cutting out. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to keep trucking. So we have this pedal that I'm going to build based off of this. And I think we're just going to go through that simply and do a breadboard. But let's just give away some stuff first. This pedal, this is the StewMac Kit that I built. I did this cool crackly pink. It's amazing. Like, I'm so proud of this. I was experimenting with spray paints, and this is freaking baller. This is done over a week, like thin coats, sanding thin coats. I'm proud of it. It looks wonderful. Let's plug it up and play it, because if you're not aware, the last episode, I tried to finish this kit and it hated me. It hated everything that I am, and it's done, and I'm very proud of it. It sounds wonderful. Let me show you some goodies here. I actually had to scrap this board and get another board. This board had failures. Everyone's wanting to know what happened on the last episode. So this board had transistor traces broken in between the plane in the PCB. So it became a nightmare. It was actually, the PCB was damaged down in here. And this was from all the reheating that I was scared of, that I told you I was scared of. We also had another issue with a broken trace up here. So I was like, I don't want to give this away. This is a nightmare. So I wrote a little message, and I'm giving this away. This pedal tried to kill me, but I won, kinda. Whoever ends up with this here are the specs. It's a StewMac Sunface kit, and I built it on an episode 17 of Short Circuit. It hated me. Go watch. After all the pain, it lives and sounds epic. The transistors are matched new old stock 2N 760s from the 70s. Josh Scott, 12/22/24. So we're going to give this away. Let me demonstrate it here. It sounds great. I'm happy with it. Those transistors, so I went through a bunch of transistors and like matched them up, and I love the sound of this pedal. So we're going to give it away. Here it is. these transistors, when I roll the guitar volume off, it does treble booster really nicely. I love how I said my guitar wouldn't be out of tune, and here we are. So yes, that is the pedal. It's done. It looks really great inside. I did it well. I took my time. I slowed down. Yeah, it's clean. It's clean as a whistle. Really great paint job. So I'm going to give this away. Austin, I beseech upon you the responsibility of finding a winner for this cursed fuzz. We'll ship it off next week. This is the cursed fuzz. It shall be known as. Sounds wonderful. I'll send it with the manual and stuff so you can remember. And I'm even going to send the broken circuit so you can just have the cursed broken circuit. All right. So with that said, let's jump into some Coppersound news. Is Coppersound in here? If Coppersound, if you're in here, give me a shout. Let's see. So first off, we have a brand new breadboarding kit with Coppersound. So let's go check that out right now. It's the Shrieking Eel. The Shrieking Eel is my final Electra design that we did on previous episodes. So are they in here? I didn't see them. Yeah, they're here. Okay. All right. So let's give one of these away. I'll pay for it. Let's give one away. I'm going to let Coppersound be over this giveaway though. So Coppersound, you got to figure out who wins this, but let's give it away. As the Chili Peppers would say, let's give it away, give it away, give it away now. So remember Coppersound, they're not like a sponsor of the show or anything. I just like the stuff. So, you know, they're awesome. Go check out all this stuff. You're going to see me using the breadboard today. So this is the Shrieking Eel. This is it. I also have the kit in here, the Boost to Drive a Fuzz. So you can go check those out. And Crunchy Mic again? I have no idea what's going in. We must have oh no Crunchy Mic. That was a winner. Sorry, I jumped to conclusion. I assume that every text that I get from Austin is going to be something broken. So it's not though. Nothing's broken. Let's go over and yeah, just go to Coppersound's website and you will see those kits. Let's give away this fuzz. So the winner of the cursed fuzz is Zach Zucker. ZACHZUCKER. Zach, you have won the cursed fuzz. The pink fuzz right here. It's yours. I'm going to ship it to you. You have won a piece of short circuit history. It almost took me out, but it didn't take me out. We're all winners here. All right, let's look over here at, let's pull up my iPad. So the Shrieking Eel, back to Coppersound. We have, you can buy like the pack of parts, right? This is it built out. And this is like the full PDF. Really killer. Coppersound's doing amazing stuff. So go over to Coppersound website. I just love the quality of what they're doing with their breadboard stuff. It's quite amazing. So yeah, 2 short circuit kits over there. I'm really proud of them. This has been really fun. And yeah, let's jump into breadboarding a Fuzz Face. I guess that's the best place to start here. Austin, we're just going to keep doing giveaways. We need to give away a Smiley. So pick a winner. Who wants a Smiley? This is my exact replication of this vintage Fuzz Face out of my collection. Who wants to win this? We're going to pick a winner. And this is the pedal circuit we are going to teach you. Or I'm going to teach you just the schematic this week. We're not going to dive super deep, but I'm going to build this on a breadboard, show it to you. And I'm excited for this whole Fuzz Face series because Fuzz Face goes deep. I have a bin here. Let me show you what I'm thinking I'm going to cover. This is a very expensive bin of pedals. I'm a little nervous. But here is, this is a really great Dallas Music Industries 73 fuzz. It's a silicon. Here's a couple germaniums. Here's an arbiter. And then here's another Dallas arbiter. That's late 60s. So these are two germaniums. So you have the germanium fuzz face and the silicon that we're doing today. Then you have the 1.5 tone bender. This is a real one. This is an actual 1.5. I'll show you how this is a fuzz face. Then you have things like the Coppersound fuzz box one knob. That's a fuzz face. You also have things like the Vox 816. That was in a storage thing, so I couldn't grab it from the room when I was there the other day. But yeah, right now we're going to focus on essentially the silicon fuzz face. If you look in there at the circuit board, you see those two metal transistors right here. Those are silicon transistors, and there's just not much difference between the germanium and the silicon. It's the same circuit, and you just get into like power supply and stuff like that. So let's take a look at an old fuzz face schematic. Let's do that. So this is the first fuzz face schematic. I should do a little pedal history high school. So the fuzz face is from 1966. Ivor Arbiter was involved in creating it. The legend is the circular base comes from, he saw the base of a mic stand. He wanted to make a circle. And this was Jimi Hendrix arriving in London the same year the fuzz face came out. There's this connection. And there's a lot of confusion and mystery about who invented the circuit, because there's so many different circuits that are so similar. If you're really interested in this, Nick over at fuzzboxes.org has some of the best reading you can read on the history of the fuzz face. Not the circuitry, but the history. He does get into circuitry, but what's the story of the fuzz face and what are the similar things? Go to fuzzboxes.org and check that out. But it's important to kind of know context. This is kind of the first celebrity fuzz, almost. I mean, the tone bender is a year before, but the fuzz face, because of Hendrix, got really big, and that's why so many of us are focused on it, and that's why we're doing the short circuit. So this original PNP fuzz face. So what does PNP mean? You might be like, what's that all about? Well, PNP right here, what that means is positive, negative, positive on the power supply. So really the only difference here, if you'll notice, the transistor emitter is pointing the other way. And you'll notice the ground lug has 9-volt positive power on it. But otherwise, look at the NPN, negative, positive, negative. You have the normal pedal power we're used to, where the positive rail is up top. And then you have the emitter arrow is pointing away from the base of the transistor. So that's the positive ground fuzz face. That's the normal negative ground fuzz face. The circuits are the same, except the polarity is flipped because of the type of transistors being used. The types are PNP, I'm circling it with green, positive, negative, positive transistors, or negative, positive, negative transistors. And the differentiation on that is usually germanium to silicon. There are all kinds of types of each, but generally germanium is a PNP, and generally silicon is NPN. And so that's why we have two different types of classic fuzz faces. So let's look at the circuit here for just a second. I have another winner. Let's give away that Smiley. Ashton Graves, you have won the Smiley. Congratulations, Ashton. We'll ship that out sometime next week. You've won a Smiley. I'm just going to keep giving stuff away. If Coppersound has a winner, I can announce that for the Shrieking Ill kit. Also, I want to give away a breadboard as well, a standard breadboard. I'm going to use this today. This is the Coppersound breadboard. So we'll give that away. Yeah, we're just giving stuff away constantly, all day, every day. Congratulations, Ashton, and also Zach. 2 good fuzzes. Let's keep trucking here. All right. So this is electrosmash.com. I highly recommend this site. It's a wonderful, wonderful site. But this is what a fuzz face is. This is essentially the simplest way to look at this. You have an input stage that is the input of the circuit. Your guitar comes in here, travels through this capacitor, which sets the low end frequency or determines how much treble you want to cut. The standard fuzz face is always 2.2. Then you have a transistor. This is essentially an input clean transistor for the most part. It's a gain stage. You have a collector resistor. We covered this we exhausted this in the electric courses. If you want to know what all this, how this works, I'll go through it later in another episode for the fuzz face. But when I said transistors, the Electra episodes where I talk about transistors, they're labeled pretty clearly on the thumbnails. This is a collector resistor. We talked about how this is a ladder of potential gain for this transistor. Now you have a connected, this is new for short circuit. We haven't done anything with 2 transistors. The collector of Q1 is connected to the base of Q2. This is brand new for us. I'm going to dive into how this works on another episode, but today I'm just going to build it. This transistor is feeding into this one. And then you have a little peculiar thing right here. You have a feedback loop. Look at this loop. I'm going to draw it in pink. This is a loop that feeds back, and it's determined by that resistor. So this is pretty magical. And then you have this emitter situation on Q2. So if I go through here, let's erase that. You have this really interesting situation here. The emitter of Q2 has a potentiometer with a bypass cap. This is where your fuzz feedback is happening. This is the fuzziness. This is where the breaking is happening here. So I covered, again, I told you in the Electra series is not about the Electra, it's about transistors. So go watch those episodes, because when I talk about diodes or transistors or whatever, and it says Electra on the thumbnail, it applies to the fuzz face. So just doing a brief overview. Then we leave the collector. That's another ladder of potential, just like R1, R2, and R3. These are all about bias for these transistors. Then we go through another cap right here. 0.01 is another, it's a capacitor to choose low end frequency. And then we go out to the amp. So this is a simple circuit. I want to tell you something. It is a simple circuit. Is it easy to build? I'm going to say no. It's deceiving. Robert Keeley, I loved it. If you watched we did an episode where, Austin can throw the link down there, but we did an episode where I did a Germanium chef pedal building competition. Robert shares how a fuzz face, he couldn't get it working early on and almost quit his pedal career. It's because it's so stupid. It's like, it's reverse polarity on the Germanium ones. It's so simple that everything really matters. And it's really important to pay attention to what you're doing. So jumping from that, here is the schematic to the Smiley. This is the official JHS schematic for that, the build document. So you're going to notice immediately, it's pretty much exactly like this or this, but there's a few slight changes. Now, the thing to keep in mind, you saw my bin of fuzz faces. I think I have 15 or 16 silicon fuzz faces. They all sound different. Why do they all sound different? It's generally how the transistors measure. But there are quirky things where one capacitor or one resistor is a little different. And when you have a circuit like this, and the Electra, I said this on the Electra episodes. If you don't know what I'm referencing, go to our YouTube channel There's a playlist called Short Circuit. Just watch those. The fewer parts in a circuit, the more everything matters. And that's why this becomes complex. If you're building a Klon or a tube screamer, if it works, it's just going to work because it's a different type of circuit. But these matter so much. Every choice, every transistor choice, this whole arrangement right here really matters. This really matters. The value of this cap, I mean, it is super, super important that you don't look at a Fuzz Face and go, oh, this is so simple, I could do this in my sleep, because you can't. It helps to have some understanding of the circuit. I will tell you right now, if you Google technology of the Fuzz Face, technology of the Fuzz Face, this is a famous DIY article that you should go study while we're doing this course. Let's jump in and let's breadboard. I don't see any issues or anything happening here. We got a Angry Pickle won the Shrieking Ill kit. Congratulations. We're just giving, that's the third giveaway today. Let's give away a crimson. So a crimson is the big muff. Austin, I want you to pick somebody in the next 5 minutes. Give away the JHS Legends of Fuzz Crimson while I hook up this breadboard here. I already have a breadboard ready. So if you're new to the show, there are 17 previous episodes about a lot of breadboarding and things. And I use the Coppersound stuff, not because they pay me. It's because I really genuinely love it. So let's zoom down here. My new zoom lens is going to be a game changer for this. All y'all who've been around, you didn't have that angle. Hashtag blessed. Okay. They also have these. I could build it on the smaller one if I wanted, but I like having the space. It's more fun. So, all right. So we're going to give that crimson away. I'm just going to jump right into this and show you how I approach the breadboarding process from the schematic. It's been a while since we've done this on Short Circuit, so I just want to jump back in and kind of show you that process. The first thing I do is I have my schematic, okay? And I'm going to go part by part through the schematic. I'm going to pay attention to my connections. I'm going to go slow enough, and I'm going to start at the beginning. And I'm going to go part by part through the circuit. And I'm going to check things off as I do it. This is a redundancy so that I know what I've done and I'm keeping track of it. It's kind of like in the movies when they're hiking through the woods and they're leaving string on the trees so they can know if they walked through there. That's what you need to do on these schematics. Okay. So the first thing you want to do on these Coppersound boards is you want to connect some vital places here. Ground has a little point, and in VCC, which is positive voltage, has a point. I've plugged in a pedal power plug right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this ground and I'm going to connect it to the ground rail. I have already covered how to breadboard on previous episodes, so go watch those if you need that help. But I'm going to walk through it slowly. VCC is the positive. It goes into that plus. I'm going to replicate this down here because I'm going to use this bottom power rail also. And VCC is positive power. So now my powers are all connected. The next thing I want to do is I want to connect the input. You're going to notice right here, there's an input hub. That's connecting the tip of this jack right here into the board through that little hub. So input, I'm going to put it on number 10 on the breadboard just so it's spaced out a little bit better. Okay. Let's do the output as well. It has the same thing. The tip of this jack needs to connect wherever you want it to go. I'll do that last because that'll come off of a pot. You'll see that later. So we got that giveaway going on. All right. At D Lady You won the Crimson, which is a Red Army clone. We're giving stuff away, y'all. You won the Crimson. So let's start right now and let's focus in on this. I want to connect the input to a 2.2 UF capacitor. And yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to connect that right now. So let's do this. Let me see here. My schematic was looking goofy. All right, yeah. So we're going to hook up a 2.2 capacitor right there. I already have these pulled. So here's a 2.2 UF right there. The long leg is positive, so I want that to face away. Notice that on the schematic, notice right here, you have a plus symbol. See that plus symbol? So always pay attention to that. All right, so I'm going to put that negative to the yellow wire, which is the input jack. That's my first step. That cap is my first capacitor in the circuit. Someone's Moist, worst YouTube name I've ever seen, makes me uncomfortable. Moist says, I need to win a new pair of underwear. The suspense has been absolutely destroying me. That's beautiful. I'm glad we can all just come together in that way and talk about our underwear. Thanks, Moist. All right, so next, what do we want to do? I want to get transistor number 1 into play. So when I do something, I exit out. But you also need to remember these traces. You got to do the traces properly. You can put the parts in and miss the traces. So right here, let's do this transistor. So first off, in the blue fuzz face, this fuzz face uses a very particular weird transistor that is not something you're going to find. It's a BC108 certain version. Now, BC108s are pretty high gain. And so when we went in and reversed this, I had to find an equivalent that I really liked. I found the surface mount equivalent because the Smiley is surface mount. Now, I realized I was going to build this for short circuit pretty like last minute into last week, and it's been Christmas. So I think the best thing to put in to this fuzz today is just the run-of-the-mill 2N3904s, right? I have 108s. We could try those first. Let's do that because let's do 108s. The problem with 108s is they're highly inconsistent in their measurements. So if I pull out my DCA, also a reminder, any parts that I use, there's a link. I have a little Amazon storefront. You can go in there and you can buy anything I'm using on the show. I hope that's helpful to some of you. So there's a link in the description. Let's measure a couple of these. 443 is too high because this is the problem with some of this. Yeah, this is a BC108, but it's too high. The transistors in my BC108s are like 200. So they're old. They're a different package. They're a different time of BC108. So this is the other thing about cloning. 186, that's solid. I'll keep that. You know, you have these people and they're like, I can clone anything. And it's like, okay, are you just putting parts in? I covered this in the Electra. I said, you can just put the same transistor in, but it's not going to sound good. You know, you're not actually doing it because the transistors are so important. This is 152. So I'm gonna use these two. So I couldn't just pull these out and use them. I measured a couple that were around 150 and I feel solid with that. So let's use those. Again, if you need a DCA, this is in the link in the Amazon cart. Very helpful tool for this kind of thing. We are connecting this transistor Q1 right here. All right. Remember that this is the collector, that's the base, and this is the emitter. So what I want to do, I want to do this in a way where I can possibly remove these easily. So I'm going to put my transistors down here on this row. Let me zoom in for you. I want to put my transistors down on this row, and I'm going to use, I'm just going to use jumper wires for today to connect the emitter, base, and collector over to this top part. I'm going to try to have most of my circuitry up here, but I want the transistors to be down here alone because I may want to switch them out later or something, right? So I have them kind of down here. Let's go all the way down so they're totally alone. I'll even go ahead and put Q2 over here to give you the visual. I just want this to be neat. So what this lets me do is I can get my transistors kind of away from the circuitry so I can see them a little bit better. And yeah. All right, so this leg of the transistor is what connects to the base of Q1. So for today, I'm going to take a jumper. Coppersound has these on their website, and I'm just going to connect it right there. That's the base. Yeah, that connects to the middle. I'll bend these down so you can see them. Right here, that's the positive leg of the capacitor through the green wire into the base. And that is this connection right here. We have made, I even mark my connections, y'all. So I not only have I put the part in, I connected that connection. The next thing I want to do is this 33K that goes up to 9-volt positive. That's an easy thing to insert. So I'm just going to grab a 33K resistor right here and just going to insert it. Okay, 33K resistor comes off the emitter and goes to power. Now, the way I have this wired, I could do this several different places. That's, sorry, off the collector. That's the collector rail. I could go here, but I want to go here to here. I want to keep it really clean and visual. So I'm going to put this in like this. That way I'm keeping my parts up high. And I'm trying to, you know, when you're breadboarding, it's such a good practice to keep things spaced so you can work on it and troubleshoot. All right, so that part's in. That connection is made. This connection needs to be made. Collector, the collector to, let's clean this up. It's already chaotic. So what have I done here? I've put that in. I've made that connect, put that in. I need to make this connection. So to make that connection, that is from the collector of Q1 to the base of Q2. Collector of Q1, base of Q2. Okay? So collector of Q1, base Q2. Done. I'll scooch that down a little so you can see the divide. Okay, so that's good. I made that connection. Let's mark it. This is just good practice. That transistor's in as well. Now I'm going to attach. This section is the modification to the Smiley. On the side of the Smiley, you have a little switch that you push right here. You have this switch, right? This is the JHS mode. See that mode? When you touch that mode, you're switching a resistor, and it is affecting the bias. So that's what's actually going on. So if we focus here, this section is the mode, okay? That green section is the mode. So how do we want to approach that? Well, to start off, I'm not going to build the mode in yet. I'm just going to focus on the 8.2K. All right, let's just do the 8.2K because I want to get the circuit working and then we can modify it. So 8.2K. All right. Got it right here. Let's see. 8.2K comes off the collector. You know what? It'd be good practice to do that resistor, the 1K first. Let's do that because this joint here, 9 volts, this is part of the bias. The bias travels this way. So I actually want to put that 1K in. Let's do the 1K. Let's get that in there. That way we're not undoing stuff later. So 1K resistor. Okay. So let's put our 1K and just have it come off of 9 volts anywhere. So I'm just going to do that right here. I'm just going to put a 1K off of this, off of 9 volts. So that part right there is, that part's done. These connections are made. I need to connect the 8.2K to that 1K. All right, let's do that right now. 8.2K coming off the collector of Q2 to that 1K. And done. So that's our collector bias arrangement. Very tweakable, moddable couple resistors. You change these, you end up with wildly different sounds. I also want to say that 1K is not stock to the original version. That makes the pedal louder. So that 1K resistor on the schematic right here, that 1K R2, that has a lot to do with volume. So just keep that in mind. All right. I wanted the pedal to be a little louder because it is pretty darn quiet. All right, next, moving on, I did this 8.2K. We got that done. Let's connect this 100K feedback loop. 100K that goes from the emitter to the base. It swings from the base of Q1 to the emitter of Q2. So I need to grab 100K and let's give something away, Austin. Let's give something away. Let me think about it while I put this in. Y'all ready for a giveaway? We got 1,000 people on here. Y'all crazy. Let's connect this though first. So let's give away a 3 series fuzz. 3 series fuzz, which is an amazing fuzz face. Austin, you have been appointed. In the next 5 minutes, 3 series fuzz will be given away. All right. So 100K resistor from the base of Q1 over to the emitter of Q2. All right. So the emitter of Q2 is here. I'll put that white wire in there. I'm going to swing it back over and make this pretty easy. So let's just do this. That's easy. So I connected that up. A little weird breadboard arrangement, but it works. So there's that 100K. Yeah, that works great. We also now have a fuzz pot to install, this pot right here. So we need a 1K. I have that ready. So the 1K fuzz pot, I'm just going to put it right here. Stick it up here a little further where you can see it. Okay. That's our fuzz control. And I need to connect per the schematic. Let's get rid of some of this stuff so you can see it more clearly. Let's mark what I did. That connection's made. Those connections are made. We have installed that pot, but we need to have lug 1 go to ground. So let's do that. Lug 1 to ground. Lug 2 gets a 22 UF capacitor. Lug 2 gets a 22 UF. Notice the polarization. There's a plus symbol. There's a plus symbol. We're going to come off lug 2 and go to ground. Lug 2 and go all the way over here to ground. And I'm going to stretch that capacitor over like this. Let's see. So there is the bypass capacitor that you see right there. I just marked it. That's done. Lug 1 though, actually, sorry, lug 3 needs to make this connection to the 100K in the emitter. So we need to do that right now. So lug 3, just want to connect this over to the emitter. I can swing it over here to that connect I made. That'd be fine. All right. Let's clean this up with an eraser a little bit. Yep. That connect is made now. Now I'm up here. I want to put in this 0.01 capacitor on the output. So that's going to be right off of the collector resistance situation. Okay. So we have a giveaway here. Hold on. 3 Series Fuzz, White Dark Dustgate. 3 Series Fuzz, White Dark Dustgate, you have won a 3 Series Fuzz. Congratulations. This is like our 4th giveaway today. We're just doing it. We're doing stuff. We're doing stuff. Coppersound, if you want to give away, I don't know what you've done, but I know you are doing stuff. Give away a breadboard. I think you already did that. I'm glad to cover any of that too. Let's keep looking here. I want to connect the 0.01 UF capacitor right off of that 8.2K. So this is a pretty simple setup here. And I'm going to use a jumper wire. We're going to go right off of this, right here. I'm going to take it over here. And this is the output cap. This is the final output cap. That output cap, if you look at the schematic, it touches lug 3 of the volume. So let's do that. You know, I'm going to actually put the volume down like that. And then I'm just going to have that cap actually touch lug 3 in that way. That's our volume. Yep. Now, if we look back at the schematic, lug 2 goes to output. Lug 2 to output. So that's what I was doing earlier. That lug 2 is going to go straight to this little jack on the side of the Coppersound breadboard. Lug 1 goes to ground, right? And where do we want to put ground? Well, we can just put it right there. So there's our Fuzz Face. Will it work? Probably not, because I think I didn't connect some stuff. Like, this is funny. I'm like, will it work? But I didn't even connect right here. So the emitter of Q1, I never did. This is why I'm saying, like, cover your butt on the schematic. It's, you get, especially, I mean, my situation's like I'm on a live stream having to think of a bunch of stuff, but I did not connect this to ground at all. So emitter of Q1 needs to go to ground. Let's see. I think we're working. Let's see. Let me just play this for a minute. It works. Let me play it. I'm going to turn on a flight delay. So that's through a 2-rock John Mayer signature. Let's switch over to a Benson AC, like it's a Earnhardt 30, which is like an AC 30. All right, so there's some big lessons here. Here's a hill. Here's a hill I'll die on. I hate it when people say germanium is better than silicon. It's a really dumb, it's a really uneducated statement from a circuit design perspective. If you build a silicon fuzz face and you consider the gains of Q1 and Q2, and you consider the bias, this entire thing here, if you consider those, there's absolutely no reason it can't sound amazing. Hendrix played silicon fuzz faces for the majority of his career. So these people get on these like insane rants about blah, 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 germanium. I love germanium. I build stuff with germanium. It has a soft spot in my heart. It's like fighting a dragon, and when you win, it's really rewarding, and it does have a sound. But this sounds great. And this entire fuzz face, I mean, you can replace these 108s with these run-of-the-mill, like 10-cent transistors. Like, you just can. So, like, that's a hill I'm always going to die on. People just need to stop saying germanium's better. I hate the statement. It is very annoying to me. So, that's the basic clone of my blue fuzz face. Sounds pretty darn good. Just looking at some comments here. Show us silicon sound. That was the silicon sound. So, yeah, there's just so much to be said about a good simple fuzz face. I built a ton of them. I understand the schematic well. I got lucky. This worked. I could have sat there for 3 hours not noticing I didn't ground the emitter, but I did. So I have some time left here. Let's do the mod. Let's do the mode switch so that you could fully build this, okay? So that's the Smiley you just heard, which is a recreation part by part of this wonderful fuzz face that I love. And I'm so nervous like setting those in the bin. So let's get that mode switch going, and let me show you what it's doing. I just installed that 8.2K, and that is setting the bias from the collector down through this emitter fuzz thing, right? So this 8.2K in combination with this 1K, this is setting the bias voltage. Now, I'm actually curious because I just threw these transistors in. I did measure them. You saw me measure on the DCA. But let's take a multimeter. Let's take a hot second here. And let's measure the voltage off these collectors. Stick that in the ground plane. Let's measure the collector of Q1. 1.419 is solid. 2.17. That is actually, hold on. What's my multimeter doing? That's a pretty low number. Like you want, your standard, like what you should do. I should build a fuzz face spec this way. It's 4.5 volts here. But this one is 2.5. So how do we change that? Well, we change these resistors right here off of the collector. And it's as simple as the way I have this arrangement is I switch between two different values. I switch between the two. So if I take out, let's leave let's leave this probe in here. You see the 2.27? Let's remove my 8.2K. Bam, removed it. It's out. Let's put in the 12K from the schematic, the 12K, the one on the right. Let's put that in, and let's see what the voltage does. You'll see a physical change on the multimeter. So here we go. Let's pop this in here. Now we're even lower. Like, we went way low because I added 4 more 1,000 ohms of resistance. What does that sound like? Let's see. All right, so great question in the chat. I've covered this in short circuit in the past when I did the Electra Shrieking Ill design. You can control any bias point with a variable resistor, which is a potentiometer. That's all that a pot is. So when you see a potentiometer, it's just a moving resistor. As I turn it, it just moves, right? So in the case of a schematic, look at this. I chose to do a switch, but I don't have to have a switch there. I could put a pot there. We see that on the StewMac Kit, the kit I just built, because it kind of does this, it does like the full tone 69 or the Analog Man Sunface thing, which is you always put a bias pot on. You know, this is very common. What you just heard is kind of like the 3 series fuzz has a bias control. Someone just won that today, but you'll be able to change that resistor from the outside. But let's put these on a switch so you can hear them. So, and then I'll wrap this up here. Let's see. So I want to have 2 different resistances on a switch. This is fairly simple. I have some of these little breadboard switcheroos. Coppersound has their own switches you can buy. These are cool. These plug right in. But I'm just going to put it like right here. And the way this works is really simple. I'm coming off the collector of that. So I'll go from the collector to the center of that switch like that. We got a lot of wires going, don't we? I usually breadboard a little cleaner, but don't care today. Now I'm going to take that gated side, which is the 12K, and I'm going to just connect it to that far side of the switch like that. And then here is the 8.2K, and I'm going to connect it on the other side of the switch. So when I switch between them, I'm choosing different resistors. That is the mod. That is the Legends of Fuzz mode switch. So here that is. Let's play it in real time. You'll see me switching this back and forth. I'm also just going to show you in real time here. You zoom out. Watch the switch and watch the number. See? Here we go. So I actually think those are too close. Now, you're asking, but that's your literal design to your Smiley. Well, yes, based off the transistor choices that I substituted using surface mount for vintage through-hole BC108s. So that transistor arrangement that you see here, 8.2 and 12, those two, let me circle them in pink. Those two numbers work really well for the transistors I chose on mine. You're going to need to change these two. I like the sputteriness of the 12K. I love that it's going down to 0.7. That's like glory land for fuzz. I'm not a big fan of this 2.1. So I want to lower that resistor. That's the 8.2K right here. I want to do something here. I want to like throw in a 5K. Let's throw in a 5K there and just see. Yeah, let's do that. 5K and see where the voltage goes. I have a 5.1K. That'll do. So just, again, keep in mind, this is the biggest errors that young builders make, and people on the internet saying they can clone anything, blah, blah, blah. You can't just toss transistors in a Fuzz Face. You can't just toss transistors in an Electra. You might like the sound, but you have to realize the schematic has a variable in it that is undefined in most cases. It's the gains or the HFE of the transistors. And that is make or break on how the bias works, and in return, how the fuzz or distortion sounds. It's a big deal. So don't, just realize that. Let's remove this 8.2K and pop in the 5.1K. 4.6. I love that I nailed that on one try. That was this total guess. I was like, I want to land at the perfect bias for a Fuzz Face, which is half supply voltage. You should have a collector voltage of half the supply voltage, meaning I plugged in a 9-volt power supply. 4.5 is half. Nailed it. Let's listen to these differences now. 4.6 to 0.7. It's going to be fun. It holds together so much better immediately. Like, that more voltage gives it that bigger distortion sound that holds together. It's not choking. Really nice. That's what I would do with my set of transistors here. So looking back at it, let's erase this and or wrap up here. It's almost 5. Austin, you're killing it. We're giving stuff away. We got the audio fixed. We're having a good old time. All right. So these transistors, you just need to find any NPN around 150 to 200 HFE. A suggestion would be a 2N3904, but as you saw, I used BC108s. I am an idiot. Hold on. BC108s. And I used the DCA to measure them. Because if I had just thrown in BC108s, you saw somewhere like 500. Those are not going to sound good in my opinion. The higher gain in a fuzz face, the harsher. So lower gain is nice. Okay. Back over to that schematic. Then we have this modded section, right? This whole thing right here in green. I'm circling these in blue. I'm putting a star, and the star just means to taste. Okay? That's how you build a smiley. You can determine the more resistance equals gate. Less resistance equals sustain. That applies to these values. So the 12K is going to gate more than this. I landed on a 5 point something there. So I think you get the idea. That's how to build a good silicon fuzz face. It is not rocket science. There's 2 questions I saw. I don't know who you were, but Austin says put put mayonnaise on the, yes, put mayonnaise on there. Yes. There were 2 questions I want to answer. The question was, do you measure each one of these? Well, thankfully, no, because the beauty of surface mount parts, I mean, thank God for them. They are so precise. I don't have to deal with the through hole back and forth weird measurements. I have the schematic you see with the 8.2 and the 12K on the switch. It's perfect when I use the BC 848As. Perfect. The perfect setup. But that's why we're tweaking here, because I'm not using those surface mount parts, and you're not going to use them either. So that's how you should look at that. The other question I saw, there was somebody that said too bassy. Well, again, we've covered this. Go watch the Electra situation. If you feel this is too bassy, that's your cap. Bigger is bassy. Lower, trebly. Trebly? Is that a word? It is now. And I probably spelled it wrong. Yeah, you can tune this all day long. You can literally do anything you want with it. So this feels good, really solid. I don't know what else to cover here. I want to jump into Fuzz Face. Obviously, I think the next thing I'll do is build a Germanium one. So I don't know for sure. I might build something else. I may jump right into like a Coppersound one knob fuzz or something like that. But the gist is, you have now seen how to build the Smiley, which is a solid silicon fuzz face. It's pretty traditional. You now understand the bias. You now kind of understand some of my transistor choices. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't have any messages from Austin. I think we're good to go. And this has been a really fun time. Thank you for hanging out with me. Again, there's a link in the description to an Amazon storefront where all my parts are in there. You can buy anything you see me using. And then also there is Coppersound. I need to throw that link in the description, but go to Coppersound Pedals website. These breadboards are amazing. They're like literally revolutionary to have your jacks on here with a switch, with your I mean, I just can't tell you enough how thankful I am that they made those. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get anything from that. Just know that I love them and I'm truly sharing them because I believe in the product. I gotta go eat dinner. I still have some family in town. So this is it. I am out and we gave a bunch of stuff away. Thank you, Austin. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's it. I keep thinking I'm leaving something out. Austin, am I leaving anything out? Tell me. I'm watching for one text. When Austin gives me the clear, we're out of here. Here's the schematic. Please screenshot that. I think we're good. I think we did this. Thanks to everybody in here. Madsen Amplification, one of my favorite treble boosters. You're in here. Coppersound, you're amazing. I saw so many people come and go. We've had over 1,000 people the entire time. Nah, Austin says we're good to go. He's the man today. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful, whatever this limbo is between Christmas and New Year. So, bye.